I've always been rather conservative, and so I took a gamble, and I'm not in a comfortable position anymore financially at all.
So what's your question?
So how can I be happy, uncomfortable, waiting for the gamble to pay off?
Well, you really screwed up the question. You made that question unanswerable. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? How can I be happy in this impossible situation? In other words, give us something to work with here. We'll guide you.
All right.
How can I be happy?
How can I be happy when my house hasn't sold? And it's a fabulous house. And I'm hoping that I've released it because I know I'm here to break the pattern.
What was the question? We forgot it.
How can I be happy with my house? Because my house hasn't sold yet.
How can I be happy when my house has not yet sold? I can be happy because I have a beautiful place to live. Mm-hmm. I can be happy because I really wanted to live in this house at one time and now I'm getting to. How can I be happy when so much of my stuff is in a container?
There you go.
Because everything that's in the container I don't really need.
I've gotten that as time has gone by. But there's a few things. I mean, I thought my stuff would be on the container 3 months.
Well, now wait. You misunderstand the game. This isn't a game where you argue for your limitations.
Right. I have been blessed to be able to get by without my stuff.
This is a game where, you see, we want to explain the game to you.
Okay.
This is a game where you ask a question that you're pretty sure you're going to like the answer to.
Okay.
Because you are the one who asks and answers the questions. And the goal of the game is to bring yourself to a place of feeling happy now, whether the house is sold or not, whether the stuff's still in the container or not, whether you have as much money. In other words, the name of this game is, how can I be happy under these conditions? How can I be happy when my child wants something that I can't afford to provide right now? Well, I can be happy by recognizing that I'm not the only vortex through which well-being flows to my child. And I can be happy understanding that there's nothing that I want more than for my child to understand that this person is the creator of their own reality. How can I be happy when my house hasn't sold? I can be happy because I know that a house like this must eventually sell. And I can be happy because I realize that the universe must have something really in store for me. And I can be happy when I realize that the universe is holding out not just for somebody who wants to buy the house, because there's plenty of those, but somebody who has the ability to buy the house, and somebody who has the ability to buy the house under these specific situations. In other words, I can be happy hanging on to this house while I'm waiting for exactly the right things to come into vibrational alignment. I can be happy when this house hasn't sold, when I know that the house will sell, and when I know that when it does sell, I will have such a feeling of elation as so many things then come into alignment. I can be happy even though the house has not sold in anticipation of the house selling. But I can also be happy in the house even though the house hasn't sold, because it's a really wonderful place to be. So now, what's another question? How can I be happy living under the financial duress that I'm living under? Is that something that you would say? How can I be happy when? You say it.
When I'm in a place where I'm not safe anymore financially.
Oh, you really want to stick it to yourself when you ask these questions, don't you? In other words, you made that just as uncomfortable as you possibly could. Were you hoping we wouldn't have an answer?
No.
But did you hear yourself? In other words, unsafe? They're going to bulldoze it down with you in it?
Should my question be, how can I not be happy?
We don't think you're ready for that answer yet. That's our question to all of you. How can you not be happy? Have you looked around? Do you see where you live? Do you understand all that has come before? Do you understand the culmination on which you came forth? Do you understand that source energy supports you in every thought that you want? Do you understand that you live on this stable planet that is here to nurture and express its well-being to you in any way that you can conjure or imagine? That's the question that non-physical would like to put to you, but we never ask a question that is so big that the answer torments you. We're only encouraging you to ask the questions that you can find the answers to. And from what we can feel from you, and we have not had this conversation in this way with anyone ever before, we can feel from you that if you will put these questions to yourself, how can I be happy when? And then make your statement of what you think's gone wrong, and then do your best to be a little more happy even though that has happened. What's going to happen is you're going to shore up your vibration until those things just fall by the wayside. Do you know, if you could answer the question and fulfill the answer, how can I be happy when my house hasn't sold? If you could ask that question for about 30 days, to the point that within that 30 days you're not unhappy because the house hasn't sold, it will sell. If you ask the question, how can I be happy when I haven't found my life partner? If you could ask that question for about 30 days until you're happy even though you haven't found what you consider to be your life partner, that partner would walk through the door and you would recognize them. It has to be that way. When you find that way of soothing your own angst, which is the only thing that is keeping you from being a vibrational match. Here's the picture. Here's your desire and the signal that you're offering. Here's where you are and the signal that you're offering. So law of attraction is answering a combination of those signals, and depending upon where you are on the emotional scale, which is here rather than here, you're getting a way watered down version of what you're really wanting. So you ask that question until you bring yourself into closer and closer alignment with what you want. Now you're offering one signal. It has to come into your experience. It has to. It can't not. It's not possible for you to not get what you want. It is not possible unless you are holding yourself in a position of split energy. And so much of what you said to us as you began is a very clear indication that you, along with almost everybody else you know, is holding yourself to some degree to split energy. Jerry and Esther had such an interesting experience the other day. They've been basking and walking and working on books and getting caught up and feeling quite good. And every 2 or 3 days eating at Taco Bell in Chula Vista and parking under a tree and watching the seagulls while they're enjoying their meal. And so Esther is driving through the drive-through window the other day, and as she drove through, there was a car that was taking a very long time offering their order, and another car that was wanting to come through in another way. And so Esther felt like she was in the way, and she really does not like to inconvenience anyone ever. And so she was sort of in that vibration of inconveniencing someone. And as she turned in, she turned a little tight and ran over the curb just a little bit, which always gets Jerry's attention because he has these really beautiful rims and really beautiful tires, and he would just as soon she doesn't run over too many curbs with them. And so he is laughing at her about running over the curb, and she is embarrassed because she touts herself as the best driver that she knows. And so she comes around to the window and places the order with the girl at the window. And the woman is a very nice woman and takes the order. She ordered the bean burritos and the drinks that they would drink, and one diet drink and one not diet drink for Jerry, and then came around. Now the next corner is even harder to make than the last corner. It is made for much smaller cars, and in their very long wheelbase vehicle, Yukon, Esther cannot make that corner all in one turn and be where she needs to be at the window. So it requires a little maneuvering to get in there. So she maneuvered, and she is thinking in her mind about the inconvenience of all of this. In other words, someone could have done a little better planning in all of this. They're not talking about it, but they're both thinking about it. And so then she gets to the window, and the woman takes her money, and she goes to the next window, and the woman hands her 2 drinks. Now the drinks are supposed to be both small, but one of them is small and one of them is large. And so right away Esther knows that something is screwy with these drinks. And so Esther said to her, "Which one is diet?" And the girl looked at it, and she did not know. And Esther could tell that she was about to make an educated guess. And so the woman guessed, and Esther said, "So it won't throw me into a diabetic coma?" Teasing with the woman. And the woman said, "Oh, let me look." So she took the lids off of both of them and looked. And Esther said, "You can tell by looking." And she said, "Yes, this is the diet. And then she put the lid back on. And she said, and you can also taste them. And Esther said, oh, then it would be too late. Esther is teasing with her because there is no reason in the world that Esther couldn't, but she was wanting to make the point that she should figure it out. And so now you're getting the sense of the vibration that Esther had going. She was being playful about it, but she was making a point. You should be watching what you're doing, and you should get your curbs lined up better too. And so they took their burritos and their drinks, and they went around the corner and parked in the parking lot under a tree, watching the birds as they have commonly been doing. And Esther sipped both drinks, and neither one of them was diet. So Esther said, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to drive back over, and I'll just go inside and dump it out and fill up my own cup. And Jerry said, that sounds like a very good plan. Then you'll know for sure. So Esther drove back over, went inside, dumped her drink out, filled up the cup, went back, and now they're about to begin their lunch. And Esther unwrapped her burrito very carefully and lifted it to bite into it, and the entire bottom fell out of it into her paper. And Esther is looking around, wondering if there is a spoon anywhere in the car, because clearly it is not possible to eat. And at that moment, the bottom fell out of Jerry's burrito, too. Jerry is the person who gardens in white pants. Jerry is the person who never gets anything on him under any conditions. But now he has burrito down his shirt, all over his seatbelt, all over his pants, and on the seat, and all over his hands. There is not a part of his body that doesn't have a little bit of it on. And Esther went into hysterical laughter because there they were, covered in bean burritos, a true reflection of the little bit of trouble that they had decided to dabble in. In other words, and while it is true that the people who wrapped the burritos could be held responsible, they sat there covered in red sauce, acknowledging, and Esther always likes this perfect opportunity to announce to Jerry, you know you are the creator of your own reality.
Got it.
And so, in retrospect, they realized that there were several opportunities that they could have gone a different way. They could have taken an opportunity at any point along the way to acknowledge how good the universe is to them, how well their life goes. In other words, this was truly an anomaly for them and not important in the scheme of things at all when you think about it. But the point that we're making with all of this is, at any point along the way that you feel the slightest bit of discomfort, if you will stop and ask the question, in what way can the universe surprise and delight me now? If the question were, am I loved? And you knew the answer was yes, nothing could ever go wrong for you. If the question is, am I worthy? And you knew the answer was yes, nothing could ever go wrong for you. In other words, we want so much for you to acknowledge that this universe, all the source, everything that you know is conspiring for your well-being. And to the degree that you allow it, it's reflected right here, right now. But the fact that you haven't yet let it in and you've got bean burrito all over you doesn't mean that it's not still conspiring, that it can't start right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. You get the sense of what we're talking about? There is no ending to the stream of well-being that's flowing to you. You've just got to find some way of lining up with it, and we promise you it will flow. Life is supposed to be good for you. And life is very good for Jerry and Esther. And it is very good for you. And to the degree that you learn to allow it, it will just get better and better.